Great afternoon. Great afternoon. Great afternoon. When I ask you to get on your feet, I want you on your feet, okay? When I ask you to get on your feet, get on your feet. Get on your feet. Sit down, sit down, sit down. We're not ready. 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 On your feet. One more time, one more time, one more time, one more time. I think we're awake now. One more time, one more time. One more time. On your feet. All right. Fellas, before we get started, I got 3 questions. Actually, I got a couple of set of questions. Here's one thing I want y'all to do, okay? Number 1, remain standing if you believe in your heart that you're a leader. Okay, good. Remain standing if you are a leader who has an official mentor. And I'm not talking about your uncle or your cousin or somebody that's related to you that's going to love you unconditionally. That's not what I'm talking about. If you have an official mentor and that mentor has a name, a social security number, and an email, please remain standing. If you are a leader and you are mentoring someone, please remain standing. Sir, give me the name of somebody you met today or a principle that you heard and you're going to apply. Yes, sir.
What do you mean by that?
I'm a coach. Okay, let me get it straight. Since I got everybody's attention now, I want y'all to understand something. I'm a coach and I talk loud enough. So one thing I do not like doing is repeating myself. So everything I ask you to do, I'll say it 3 times. Cool? Here's what I want you to do for me, young sir. Here's what I want you to do. Give me the name of somebody you met today, or a proverb or principle that you learned that you will apply when you leave.
Today, from the other speaker, I learned do everything hard now. Don't wait till tomorrow.
Love it, love it, sir.
The principle I learned was to think of others when you make decisions that apply.
Love it, sir.
Dr. Simmons, learning who I am allows me to not care about what anybody else thinks of me.
Love it, sir.
Learning how to crush stereotypes.
Learning how to crush stereotypes. Love it.
You cannot be fired from the job that you created.
My brother. Sir.
I'm Dr. Bill. Beginning with the end.
Begin with the end.
Yes.
Got you, got you, got you, got you, got you. Sir.
I have one person who asked a question. Oh, actually, I answered. So,
All I need is a person that you met or a principle that you will apply when you leave here. Don't worry, it'll make sense in a minute.
here.
Give me one person you met and a principle you will apply.
Okay. I give the principle because I'm not going to give names.
That's fine.
Okay. The principle that I will apply is that I might not be the smartest, but if I'm able to work with others to, teamwork, just understanding.
Teamwork.
Yeah, I'm not alone.
Teamwork. Absolutely. Absolutely. Give me one more.
To be all that I can be and to take everything that I've learned and teach it to the next person.
My man. My man. Everybody on their feet. Everybody on their feet. Everybody on their feet. Everybody on their feet. Go ahead. Hit it. Now, y'all have heard this song before. I just want to see what y'all do. I just want to see what y'all do. I just want to see what y'all do. Turn it up. Let me see what y'all do. What y'all gonna do? Hold on. Stop and rewind it. Stop and rewind it. Stop it. Hold on, whoa. Rewind it. Okay. I got it. Start again. I got it. don't know what to do? You should be following my hand. Come on, fellas, come on. Catch on, link up, link up. Let's link up. All right, who goes in here? Fellas, here's one thing I want y'all to understand. Some of y'all knew what to do when you heard the song. Some of y'all knew when to get ready to really surf, right? Right? How did you know that? You've been to an experience where that is the norm, right? That's a cultural exchange, right? And let's just be honest. Y'all done it at the turn up. It's cool. I mean, we all men here, okay? But the only way you knew that is that you had to experience it. Now, some of y'all did that with no delay, no shyness, none of the above. Some of y'all were a little hesitant. Y'all were kind of like, okay. I really don't know what this swag surfing is, but I'm. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. The point is, fellas, you all responded to a call with enthusiasm. You responded to a call with enthusiasm based on what you've been able to behold. So the way you swag surf, I want y'all to surf like that into every classroom you go into. I want you to swag surf like that in every study group you go into. I want you to swag surf like that with the relationships that you have. I want you to swag surf just because you had an opportunity to wake up today. Amen. It's about the experience and how you feel about it. And I knew it was one way we could connect. I said at some point, I can't believe in a room full of men, nobody knows how to swag surf. I just figured I'd get at least one. And if I got one, that was great. But here's the thing that kind of bothers me, fellas. Some of y'all, not all of y'all, some of y'all were hesitant to help the next brother. Some of y'all were hesitant. That's an antiquated way of thinking. If we're brothers, then if I rise, then you rise. If I have a bowl of bean soup, then you have half. So if we don't pick each other up when it's time to swag surf, how are we going to pick each other up in times of trouble or in times of assistance when it really counts? How much money did it cost you to swag surf? How much money does it cost you to really help the next brother? How you do anything is how you do everything. Y'all grab a seat. Y'all grab a seat. Let me take y'all to, I have a son who is 17 years old, okay? My son is 17 years old. And I'll wait till y'all are finished. My son is 17 years old. And so one day, ever since my son has been able to do for himself, he knows to make up his bed when he gets up to go to school. So one day my son left his room completely a mess. Now he knows better, right? Because ever since he can make his bed, he's been making his bed, which is about since age 4, right? So one day, for whatever reason, he must have been talking to his girlfriend, I don't know. He rushed out of the house. So what did I do? I go in and I toss his room, and it's Exhibit A, what you see right here, right? And some of y'all be like, yo, you a jerk for doing that. No, I'm a father. And it's my responsibility to make sure that I stretch him, right? So whenever you hear me say the marathon, I want you to say continues. The marathon, the marathon, the marathon. It is my job to stretch him along this marathon. Some people think, well, yo, you really a jerk for doing that to your son. Nah. When we grow up, it's never called growing pleasures. It's called growing what? Pains. So here's what I did. I messed up his room. So here's what I did. I wrote him a letter and I left it on his door, and it says, "Dear son, I hope you had a great day. The way you left your room and bathroom are unacceptable. So I created an incentive for you to keep your room clean. Call me before you begin cleaning your room. Every day it's left dirty, I will toss this room. Your transition to manhood begins now. Welcome to the fold. I love you, son. Get to work." Dad, I said, "P.S. Keep this letter, please. Thank you." So my son went to school, I went to work. At the time I was still working in D.C. Didn't hear from him when he got home. I said, "Oh, he's pissed. I did my job." Radio silence, right? Goes throughout the day, I didn't call him. I come back home. Not only was the room absolutely immaculate, but he rearranged the entire infrastructure of his room. Some people call that tough love. You can call it what you want. Did I get the result that I wanted? Absolutely. So understand that somewhere, somehow, some way, somebody has either messed up your room or they're going to mess up your room. And when they do, how will you respond? How will you respond? My son not only said, "Okay, Dad, I got you. Yep, I got you, bless you. But I'm not only going to clean my room, I'm going to rearrange the room." And so understand that every room that you walk into, somebody is going to want to rearrange your room. Right? And maybe that professor that doesn't have office hours. It may be that professor that doesn't give extra credit. It may be that professor that's just going to grade hard. It may be that professor that's not going to cancel class just because it's Friday. Or Monday right before Thanksgiving break. Somebody is going to rearrange your room, and in essence, they're going to stretch you. And as we get ready for the marathon, if you've ever trained for a marathon or any particular race, you don't just go out and run it. You got to stretch first. How many of you all are athletes? Okay, great. Okay, I've been a coach for more than 20 years. And in my own mind, I don't say I'm a former athlete. I feel like I still got game. So I feel like I'm still an athlete, right? So understand this, right? Before you run, you got to stretch. Now, trust me, I hate stretching. And I've been 20 or 19 years old before. And you're like, "Man, why I got to stretch? I'm young." Stretching reduces some of that injury. See, the lesson I'm teaching him at home is going to prepare him for the lessons that some other man or woman is going to try to teach him. So I got to take care of my own, and so do you. So understand, you take everything way too personally. I love my son. He's blood of my blood, flesh of my flesh. But it's unacceptable because he knows better. There's a lot of stuff y'all know better, and you just don't do better for whatever reason, because you're in your feelings. And that's fine, you could be in your feelings, but give yourself a little temporary pity party and then get back to work. Because what did I say at the end? I said, "I love you, son. Get to work." Just like everybody, when you leave your house, hopefully somebody tells you that they love you, right? "I love you, son. Get to work. I love you, son. Get to work." And so we talked about swag surfing. I don't want to make it seem like, some people are kind of out of sorts. But we should never, ever, ever be in a place where we're not willing to help the next brother. And at the same time, that brother should never be too shy to ask for help. Now, I've coached basketball for more than 20 years, and a defense is only as good as its help side defense. Because I don't care how much of a lockdown defender you think you are, somebody's going to get past you. And when they do, you need help. And if you played basketball before, if somebody gets by you, what's the first thing you yell? You help and recover. I don't know what was wrong with my son that day, but I gave him some help, and he recovered. How many of you all saw this? Brother in Vienna, they ran the marathon in less than 2 hours. Let me give you a little backdrop. Eliud Kipchoge, I believe he is from Kenya, ran this particular marathon in 1 hour, 59 seconds and 59 minutes and 40 seconds. They predicted that he would do it in 1 hour, 59 minutes and 50 seconds, and he beat it by 10 seconds. Here's a beautiful thing about his race. About every 8 minutes, they switch out what they call pacemakers, right? So the formation is simply this. You have 5 guys in front of you that form a V and 2 guys behind you. 5 guys in front, 2 guys behind you. In order to, number one, set the pace so you don't slow down, and somebody else to make sure you're keeping up even with the folks that are coming behind you. So understand this particular V is keeping the drag. If anybody's ever been a runner, you know that the wind can be kind of vicious at times. But those 5 people in front of him keeps the wind down and the resistance down, so he can run his fastest pace. In addition to that, understand this. He runs between a very, very narrow line. He runs through very narrow lines, okay? And y'all know the average person runs a marathon in about 4 hours and 22 seconds. 4 hours and 22 seconds. He did it in under 2 hours. Why? Because he's a phenomenal athlete? Maybe. Is it because of his height? He's only 5'6" and 134 pounds. That helps. But is he tall? No. Is he strong? That's debatable, right? But he's been trained. And we talked about when the marathon continues, the first thing we have to do is stretch. Sometimes stretching is the thing that we don't want to do. And understand that you can't not do what you don't want to do. You have to do what you don't want to do so you can do what you can do. So when we talk about training, he's trained himself in the marathon. He's already trained himself to run a certain pace. So understand, every day as you're going to class, that's part of the stretching and the training. Part of the stretching and the training. Part of the stretching and training. One thing I love about this brother's story is that they said whenever the pain kicks in, he just smiles. Whenever the pain kicks in, he smiles. Whenever the pain kicks in, he smiles. I'm sure my son's pain kicked in when he got back to the house. I'm sure he probably cussed, and at the time he was about 13 years old. I'm sure he cussed me out in every language. I'm sure he did, and rightfully so, but he just makes sure I didn't hear it. But at the same time, I'm training him. I've already stretched him by messing up his room. Now I'm training him like, no, son, how you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything is how you do everything. So understand, we talk about training in the marathon continuing, right? We talk about that all the time. And one thing that most people fail to realize is this. Everything you need is in the house. My man Jay Ross says, everything you need is in the house. Is there somebody here that's a STEM major? Any STEM majors? Boom. Anybody here a psychology or liberal arts major? Fine. Is anybody in here business? Okay. Chemistry or pre-med? Allied health? Okay. Is there anybody a theater or fine arts major? Broadcast journalism? I think those are almost all the majors, or it fits into every school that y'all go to. So you have help. You have help. And the reason I asked the 3 questions I asked you in the beginning was, who did you meet or what principle will you apply? Is only because if you come to practice, you come in to train, this is what you're doing. You're training today. It stretched you because you might be missing class or you might be missing out on some money. But today your job is simple, was to connect with somebody. And it's not necessarily everything that you can get from somebody else. How can you help somebody? I told you, Elliot runs in a V with 5 guys in front, 2 guys behind. Here's the $1 million question though. How many of us are so dedicated to what or who we want to become that we will be one of the 5 people or one of the 2 people that we don't get to shine when he crosses the finish line? Because he crossed the finish line by himself. By himself to the naked eye. Well, the people that just don't know. But he had help. You need to be able to name those 5 people in that V. They keep you pulling. You need those 2 people behind you to keep you pushing. This is a picture of my grandfather, Lawrence Jacob Sr. He was born on September 11th, 1911. September 11th, 1911. Let me see if y'all paying attention. The marathon. Continue. The marathon. Continue. The marathon. Continue. The marathon. Continue. My grandfather was born on September 11th, 1911. He made his transition on May 11, 2011. Did y'all hear what I said? Yes, sir. Did you hear what I said? Yes, sir. And so, how many of you all are fortunate enough to have your grandparents alive still? How many of y'all? Okay, great, great. So here's the thing. When my grandfather was still living, I would get an opportunity. When he lives in Huntsville, he used to live in Huntsville, Alabama. So I'd go down and sit and talk with him. I'd say, Granddad, how long does it take for a crop to come to harvest? He would say about 90 to 120 days. 90 to 120 days. Okay? You see where I'm going with this? The marathon. Continue. The marathon. Continue. I said he was born on what? September what? 11. 1911, and he made his transition on May 11th, 2000 what? 11. How many days is that before his 100th birthday? $120 days exactly. And some people might think that's sad. You know, man, that's not really sad. Yeah, it's sad because I love my grandfather, right? My grandfather, in his 99 years, never had a cavity. Never had a cavity. Strongest man I've ever met that never touched a weight. Never been sickly in his life because of the hard labor he did, right? Being a farmer, okay? So watch this. He ended up, as his health was declining, he did have a stroke, right? So all of the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren went to see him in the hospital. It was the last time I saw my grandfather alive. So we sat and we sang songs that he used to love to sing and hear, and all my grandfather could do was raise his hand. Couldn't talk. All he could do was raise his hand. It was the saddest thing. I cried several tears that day. Later on, after we went back home, we got the call. He's with the ancestors now. And the thing that's interesting.
Sorry for your loss.
I'm sorry?
Sorry for your loss, sir.
Thank you, sir. The interesting thing about him raising his hand was that not only did he understand that the marathon continues. See, my grandfather only made it to the 11th grade, right? But he died a millionaire. At one point, we calculated how much he made in 1 year. He made $3,000 in 1 year on an average, he and my grandmother. About $3,000 in a year. For the year. That's some people's mortgage. Okay? $3,000 in a year. But he died a millionaire. You're like, how could he do that? Well, for one, all three of his children started and finished college. All 8 of his grandchildren, me being one of 8, started and finished college. Of the 13 or 14 great-grandchildren, half of them have either gone to college or they're getting ready to finish college. And now we have one great-great-grandchild who will have the opportunity to attend college if she wants to. And so I want y'all to understand when we talk about the marathon continuing, right? A lot of people say, well, that was sad that your grandfather passed away before he's done. No, because guess what? The marathon continues, but understand that this particular journey that you're on is not a marathon. It's actually a relay race. And as every generation goes, so the baton passes. So from my great-grandfather, came to my grandfather. From my grandfather, came to my mom and dad. To my mom and dad, it came to me. From me, it goes to my children. To my children, it goes to their look, I don't want to be no grandfather no time soon. I don't want to do that. I want to do that. But I want y'all to understand that as we swag surf, we understand what swag is, strategic ways to achieve growth is asking for help. And understand that there are 5 fouls that we commit no matter where we are in our lives. There's 5 fouls that we commit. Number 1, we don't know who we are. Number 2, we don't know what we value. Number 3, we refuse to ask for help. Number 4, we allow the opinions of others to determine what we do. And number 5, we fail and give up versus fail and give more. Now imagine, just imagine, had my grandfather just stopped and just said, okay, look, this marathon, this relay race is just for me. Imagine had your particular ancestors done that. Where would you be? Not only where would you be, but who would you be? So my challenge for you all today is simple. We talked about stretching, right? Talk about having people to stretch you, right? We talked about training, which is what you're doing now. But here's the thing, fellas. And I want y'all to hear me. I want you to listen versus hear me. Your job every day is simple. Report to practice. You're like, Coach, what do you mean report to practice? I'm saying report to practice. Coach, I ain't got a uniform. You don't have a uniform yet, but there's one waiting on you. And it's the same uniform that I wore. And it's one size fits all. Doesn't matter what you're studying, don't matter where you're from, don't matter how poor or rich you think you are or aren't. Uniform is the same. Just show up to practice and earn every single rep that you get. Don't worry about the coach taking you out the game. This uniform is for everybody. Everybody that's willing to train. This uniform is for everybody. Nobody cuts you, you cut yourself. So you do your associates. That's one championship. You do your bachelor's. It's the next championship. If you so choose, you do your master's. That's the next championship. Once you do your master's, you get something that looks like this. You've never seen it before. And ultimately, if some of y'all end up wanting to be extremely credentialed, then there's this one. Your mortarboard changes from something that looks a little funnier to this. Now here's the funny thing about this. This one don't fit, because guess what? I haven't earned it yet. And if you haven't earned it, that means it's time to stretch. And if you haven't earned it, that means it's time to train. And if you haven't earned it and you don't know where to get the help, that means you need to ask for it. Fellas, it's not hard, it's just new. It's not hard, it's just new. But I need y'all to do me two favors. Number one, stop showing up to varsity practice with a JV uniform on. Stop it right now. Because some of y'all are showing up trying to get down with varsity, and you ain't got on the right uniform. And I don't even talk about the physical uniform. You don't have the right attitude. I took some acting classes some years ago, and they told us every room that you walk in, you're a different character. Right? So the way you walk into class, right? It's not the way you walk into the club, right? You know, you walk in the club with a little bit of swag on you, right? So understand when we talk about the marathon continuing, this uniform is waiting for you. It's waiting on you. When I was a senior in high school, tried out for the basketball team. So beginning of the year, the coach calls me in. My nickname is Chief. He said, Chief, what's going on, man? How'd your summer go? It went great. He says, well, look, when tryouts and our open gym we do workouts and tryouts, I want you to come out for the team. Okay, coach, no problem. Cool. Show up, never miss an open gym, never miss conditioning, right? So about 75 people go out for the team. First day they cut about 25 people, it cuts down to 50 people, right? So boom, second day they cut it down to about 25, right? So this is towards the end of the week. So they cut it down to about 18 people, right? So it was me, Nick Kuda, and a guy named Tony Mawson. We all played JV ball together, right? So after the first tryout, Tony Mawson left. He could play defense, but he couldn't throw a P in the C, all right? Nick Kuda ends up getting cut, but he could shoot the lights out. For whatever reason, they didn't want to keep him. So I figured, yeah, I got an opportunity to make the team. Go out one more time, make it happen. So y'all know if you ever tried out, you go and look at the list. So I looked at the list, and I didn't see anything. So, knock on the door, coach, what's going on? He said, hey, Chief, how you doing? I said, good. I said, I just looked on the tryout list, and my name's not on the list. He says, well, yeah, Chief, well, sit down for a second. I was like, well, is this going to be a long meeting? He's like, well, sit down. I said, okay, fine, no problem. I said, well, Coach, why'd you cut me? He says, well, you know what, Chief? I think you're a great scholar. I think you got a great attitude. I think you're a great leader. But you're just not good enough. You're just not good enough. I said, but you invited me to tryouts. And then you want to cut me? But now you say I'm not good enough. You should have cut me during the first cut. But now I'm not good enough. But I'm good enough to make every practice, every conditioning, every open gym, but I'm not good enough to be on the team. So all I can remember hearing was, you're not good enough. Good enough. Good enough. I don't know if you've ever been to Ohio in November. You know, November, literally, it's freezing cold. That day, y'all know, y'all grew up in the households y'all grew up in, all right? There is no going out the house without something on your head. Nope. I just had my shorts and everything in my bag, and I just went home, walked home. Just that pissed. Cried for 2 days, like a baby. Like a baby. Here's the funny thing. I'm grateful for that particular opportunity or that disappointment because it made me a coach. It made me want to coach. Because I said, if I ever have an opportunity to coach, I would never tell a kid that I cut that he wasn't good enough. Because I understood that there was another uniform waiting on me. I understood that it was tailor-made to fit. I understood that I would make more impact from the sidelines than I ever would playing the game. And so today, fellas, as you all leave, I want y'all to make sure that you've made a connection with somebody. Exchange information with that brother. Make sure when we talk about the marathon continuing, that we're not just passing along, let's pass along the swag surf, but let's pass along something else. Let's pass along notes. Let's pass along encouragement. Let's pass along true brotherhood. Because if you think the marathon begins and starts with you, you're sadly mistaken. Because the marathon, fellas, I am simply doing this. I belong to a community of men from all across the country. Some people are abroad. It's called G-men, all right? And ranges from 18 to 65. But it's a community of men that are committed to getting better in every aspect of their life, mind, health, balance, and wealth, okay? I am in charge of the DMV unit. You are more than welcome to sign up. If you click on the link, I'll give you my social media. You're more than welcome to click on the link and get access to the information. But we are here to help and teach principles of manhood. And so I'll leave you with this, fellas. I just have 3 questions for today. I didn't give you any points today because I wanted to leave you with 3 questions. Number 1, beyond today, what will you master? What will you master? What do you need to master in this season? What will you master? Number 2 is, what will you measure? Okay, and so a lot of students come in to me and they say, well, I didn't do so good this semester. Well, I said, says who? We're just talking about the measurement. What will you master? What will you measure? And lastly, fellas, what will you manifest? You've had a lot of opportunities. They've provided a phenomenal conference that covered all areas of the core 4, mind, health, balance, and wealth. And understand that no matter what you're pursuing, what you're trying to manifest, the money is the last thing that's going to come. So I don't want any more advisees coming into our offices saying, well, I want to do this because you think you're going to make a lot of money. Yeah, you just might, but the money is going to be the last thing. Even if you want to be a professional athlete, stretch, train, compete. The money is the very last thing that comes. So no matter what you're studying, if you're studying to be a teacher, the money's the last thing that comes. If you're studying to be in business for yourself, the money is the last thing that comes. Today, I just challenge you to master your manhood. Understand what it means to master mind, health, balance, and wealth. Mind means, what are you eating? What are you reading? What are you writing? What are you listening to? Health is, what kind of physical shape are you in, fellas? What kind of physical and mental shape are you in? It's been proven that if you want to live a long time, you should do several things. You should exercise 3 times a week. You should walk at least once a day, drink plenty of water, and get plenty of rest. Because here's what's happening. A lot of y'all feel like, I'm grinding. And again, like Dr. Perry talked about, some of y'all are pretending. Some of y'all are just gloating. You're not grinding. And some of y'all feel like, how can somebody come in here and talk to me like that? I'm a grown-ass man. Well, if you're a grown-ass man, you don't have to say you're a grown-ass man. Your work will let me know that you're a grown-ass man. So get on your grind, get on your mission. What will you master? What will you measure? What will you manifest? Questions? Sir? Mind, the core four is mind, health, balance, wealth. Mind is what are you reading? What are you taking in? Health is what's your actual health like? When's the last time y'all went for a checkup? Who's been for a checkup this year? There should be everybody's hands raised. Prostate cancer is the #1 cancer of black men. Balance, what are your relationships like? If there's some relationships y'all know y'all need to fix them. If you got to call mom every week, if you need to call your brother or sister every week that you haven't talked to, if you need to call your granny, if you got your grandmother or grandfather, I got one grandparent left. I send her a thank you note every month. Let her know I'm thinking about her because she doesn't hear so well, so I want to make sure she can read what I sent her. All right? And again, if you master mind, health, and balance, that wealth is coming. It's not just monetary wealth. I tell you about my grandfather. He only made $3,000 a year, but he died a millionaire. It's not what you cop, it's what you keep. Good question. I answer. Any other questions? Yes?
What inspired you to be here today?
What inspired me to be here? There's work to do. There's always work to do. I'm a servant leader, so understand that there are certain types of leaders. Okay, we won't get into the politics of anything, but there are certain types of leaders in this world. Understand there are some certain leaders that walk around and just give orders. I come with my hands out. How can I serve? How can I serve? If you believe in a higher power, you know that he was a servant. You never saw him walking around with it. So to answer your question, I'm a servant. This is what I was gifted to do, is coach and teach young people. But I specifically have a mission for working with young men. Sir?
What do you struggle with? What do you struggle with?
What do I struggle with? Can you be more specific, sir?
Maybe like attitudes or things from your past or whatever it is.
What do I struggle with? I'll be real honest with you. Being a workaholic. You want me to go deeper? Okay. I struggle, not anymore. Not anymore. Because of what society says defines a man, and trust me, we get it honestly from the generations before us. Our grandfathers thought, well, look, I'm gonna just work. That makes me a man. And at that time it did. Our fathers the same way. My father was the same way, right? I got my work ethic from both of my parents. So I thought I had to outdo them by how hard and how long I worked. And just because you're working long don't mean that you're working hard or smart. So I'm a recovering workaholic. And I'm not telling you not to work hard. Hear me. I'm not telling you not to do that. I'm saying work smart. Because guess what? While I was grinding to get my master's, I missed out on time with my kids when they were small. Because I thought I always had to be on my mission, which I was. But I didn't realize part of my mission was raising my children. And I raised them. But at times, there were times where I was just at work. Because I thought I had to be there.
That's like the balance part, right?
That's the balance part. So mind, health, balance brings wealth, right? And now, literally, overnight, I got you. Overnight, my daughter's a senior in college, which is crazy because I'm only 23. But if I could have any, but you know what? I know the sacrifices that I made on the early end. But you know what? I will give up all that money just to hear that, Daddy, when I come home. Let me get that one more time, please. So be careful when I say that, fellas. Yeah, grind smart and grind hard, but spend that time. Get off the grid. Sir, it's here and then I'll get you.
There's a quote that I often use with my students, and I just want to ask you, is there validity to it? Success is never only rented.
Oh, absolutely. Success is not owned. It is rented. Again, we only have the gifts for the time that we're here, right? That's it. When you die, that gift dies with you, unless you've passed it on to somebody else. Like I said, I consider myself a servant leader. People are like, well, you're a speaker. No, I'm a coach. I'm a servant leader. I serve. There was a brother that used to work at the MARTA station in Atlanta, and whenever I would go there, super cool dude. he was 65 years old, right? He got married when he was 61. Never had children or any of the above, right? But he was married to his baby. And he worked for Georgia Power, and his second career was working for MARTA. So he did that to be close to his honey, to his baby, to his boo. So anytime I would just go say hello to him. But anytime he saw somebody coming to Atlanta airport that wanted to take the train, you know what he would do? He'd simply do this. And his posture told me, how can I serve? Right? So like I said, what I remember about him is how he served, the fact that he wanted to serve. That's what we were all meant to do. Some people think, well, you know, I'm supposed to be on this earth to make $1 million. No. Maybe it's $2 million. My thing is, no. Anybody can earn money, right? Anybody can earn money, right? We don't make money, we earn money. It's not about what you necessarily get, it's about what you do with the money, but not even necessarily the money, but with your gift. How many people are you giving it away to? And again, I appreciate your question, because I took time away from my own children to help other people's children, which I don't regret, right? Because my children have been able to benefit from my work. But if I can have anything back, please, let me create more memories with my children, right? But in the pursuit of credentialism, right? That's what it was. Did that answer your question? Sir.
All right. I have actually 2 questions. I've been thinking about this question for a while. I want to know if you can answer. What does it mean if you want to go on the course of your life and when you get to where you are right now? In order to answer this question, what does it mean to live? What does it mean to live? Because I am a 23-year-old young man. I attend Morgan State University.
Yeah, we the same age. I got it. I'm 23 too, man.
I currently work at the Community College of Baltimore County.
Bless you.
I participate still with our mentor program. I help mentor. I'm a peer leader for that program, as well as the young gentleman that I came here with.
Yep.
And I try to teach, but the mentees that get assigned to be like, you know, focus.
Yep.
Work hard.
Yep.
It's going to be hard. Don't give up. If you can talk to someone, my door is always open. You have my phone number. I'm only a call away. So I know there's something I'm good at. I was never the math guy. I like technology. I'm good okay with technology stuff.
Yep.
But I attract and I'm better with people. But when I ask you what does it mean to live, I mean like when you say the whole separation from between you and your kids as you were going through your master's degree program, what hits you to say, okay, look, I need to be with my kids. I'm doing my work in the community, but I'm neglecting my children.
Great question. I'll answer your first question. What does it mean to live? It means literally to enjoy every single moment of whatever you're doing. If you're working, again, I know it sounds cliche. I've never really worked. I've just been on my mission. I've been a surrogate father, an uncle, an older brother to millions of young people, from Ohio to Maryland to New York to Atlanta. Literally, I think to live means to just master the present, be obsessed with the present. I think sometimes what happens, especially to college students, is that somebody says, well, what do you want to study? Or what do you want to do when you get out of here? I'm just trying to figure out what I don't want to do. That's honestly, fellas, if you've never heard this before, the purpose of, who could tell me the significance of a 4-year degree? Who could tell me? Who could tell me? I'm just curious. Yes, sir.
For me, it means like, if I'm employing somebody, it shows me that they can stick to something and dedicate themselves to a process of critical thinking and figuring things out by themselves. Not that they learned anything necessarily, but that they were able to figure out and critically think and figure things out that were unknown to them.
I was going to say, able to get a job.
To get a job? You can get a job. Don't be mad. UPS is hiring. I promise you. But no, yes, you are to be gainfully employed, right? But you hit it right on the head. It symbolizes or signifies that I've been able to persevere. Why does it take you longer to get a bachelor's degree than it does to get a JD? Or a master's? It only takes 2 years to get a master's for most programs, but it takes you 4 years. Guess what? It takes about 4 years to realize what you don't want to do when you grow up. And the thing is, my son schooled me a long time ago. He asked me to tuck him in one night. I said, Pop, what do you want to be when you grow up? He didn't say nothing. I said, Pop. He said, yeah. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? Now, I don't know about your household, right? But if your parents ask you something more than once and you don't answer, You're going to see how much they care about you, right? So I said, Pop. He said, yeah. I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he put his hands over his head, took a deep breath. I guess he had a hard day at work. I don't know. And I asked him one more time. I said, Pop, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know what he looked at me. You know what he said? Just as serious as a 5-year-old could say. You know what he said? 6. But that answers your question too. What does it mean to live? Be 6 years old. Be 6 years old and know that there's a time to work, time to play, and a time to relax. You can relax, fellas. You can relax. You can relax. Any other questions? I'm sorry. Sir.
I was wondering if you could talk about, I think you talked a little bit about the runner and people around us.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate on the importance of surrounding ourselves with people who are like-minded like us?
Absolutely.
And having the courage to kind of break some people off?
Absolutely. Fellas, let's just, okay, we're all men here. We're all young men. Well, I'm young. I'm a young man. Y'all are just men. We're young men. Real rap. We turned up in college just like anybody else. I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Atlanta. We turned up. Let's just be honest, okay? I mean, I'm not going to hide that from y'all. That was a time in my life. That's what we did. Work hard, play hard. Have a good time. My crew was so focused on us making sure we got out of there in 4 years. See, because every school they bring you in, they'll say, look to your left, look to your right. Somebody won't be here. I'm like, damn that. Look to your left, look to your right. Yo, we rocking. I'm rocking with you till we get up out of this joint, right? But my crew was so thick. We got to a place where we were like, okay, hey, bro, it's a party this Friday. Nah, man, we're not going to that one. We're going to the one in 2 weeks. I got stuff to do. Okay, well, look, if my crew ain't going, I ain't going. Let me find some stuff to do. So, again, I think it's based on, especially us as men, again, young men. What are you reading? What are you writing? What are you listening to? Who are you hanging around? That's going to influence a lot. And a lot of people say, well, you're not a product of your environment. Actually, you are, because, mind you, that's not always a negative thing, right? Because some people come from certain, but you still represent that environment. Maybe you don't represent what the statistics say that you represent, but you are a proud product of your environment, and your environment is your ancestors. You would never deny them, even if you've never met them. So I would say, no, you're a product of your environment in that, yes, you come from the loins of greatness. I refuse to believe that there's a family tree that's just all jacked up. I refuse to believe it. I absolutely refuse to believe it. Somewhere along the line, look, I'll just be honest with you. Yes, there's quite a few people in my family that are college educated, but there is nothing in this world that has not touched my family. Drug abuse, drug addiction, drug selling, whatever. It's all touched my family at some point. But that just means, guess what? We in the same family, right? Because if it hasn't touched your family, eventually it will. By external influence or internal eminence. Did I answer your question? Any other questions? Sir.
My question is, what is true balance, and how do you know how to attain that true balance?
It's a great question. What is true balance? Go a little deeper. You said, what is true balance?
Yes. Like, for an example, in my case, trying to balance school, work, family.
Great question.
Kids.
Anything, and trust me, and back to your question, I see you have a family. Take the no test. Take the no test, okay? The no test simply is you ask yourself these questions. Number one, is it going to help me or somebody else? Number two, does it go against my personal values? In order to achieve balance. When you learn the word no, that happens. A lot of people are super impressed by the people that we deem to be thought leaders and champions and legends in certain areas of life, which they should be. But y'all are impressed by what they said yes to. I'm impressed by what they said no to. Think of anybody that you admire. They had to say no to something. Y'all have said no to something because you're here. You said no to something. So to achieve balance, you do have to set boundaries. There's certain boundaries. If people know, like, here's the other thing. I'll tell you, one of the things they said in order to have a balanced life is, number one, lift weights at least 3 times a week, or exercise at least 3 times a week, go for a walk every day, drink plenty of water, get plenty of rest, and do work away from your phone. Some of y'all, that's a struggle. Try it once. Try it once. Because I'll share something else with you. Peace, right? One thing about my son, I'll tell you that some people think that's cruel and unusual punishment, but to this day, he's never left his room like that. So I think it worked, right? But understand that your room should be your place of peace. Your house should be your place of peace. Your neighborhood should be your place of peace. And the only way we achieve peace is that the men that are leading we have to model peace. And again, it's not like it's not like we just being friendly with everybody, but when we set order, and especially in our households, when everything is in order, and I'm saying the husband and the wife are setting order, right? Because again, that's a whole nother conversation, right? Right? I mean, for real. I mean, I get it. But what I'm saying is when we achieve that balance, everybody understands the boundaries and the expectations. Everybody. Even the people that live next door to you. Like, yo, don't be doing that. The Wilsons or the Rices, they live next door. They'll be, people know the boundaries. And if they know what you stand for, there's certain stuff they're just not going to try to get past you. And that's the thing. Also, have the proper expectation of everybody you come in contact with. One of the questions I ask every freshman that I've ever worked with is, what is your expectation of me? And most people are like, I don't know. I have an expectation of you. My expectation of you is not necessarily you get an A in every class, but that you exhaust every single resource that you or your ancestor paid for. That's my job. My job in my marathon or my relay race is to make sure my kids went to college and they don't have any debt when they get out, because somebody did that for me. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Sir. Yes, sir.
So the first question is, what's a mistake you remember, you did, and how did you compensate? And what's your biggest distraction, and how do you get over it?
You said, okay, you said what was my biggest mistake that I regret?
Yeah.
Whew, I got a lot of them. Pick one. From college?
Yeah.
I'll keep it brief. That I didn't study abroad. I did not study abroad. I didn't go out of the country to study for a semester. That's one of my regrets from college, yeah. Well, one of several.
So how do you compensate for that?
How do I compensate for it? Travel now. But at the same time, give the gift of travel to my family. So we do it together. The other question was, repeat it for me. Distractions? What is a big distraction for me? Time. Time is a big distraction. Time is a big distraction for me. Think about it, fellas. When y'all were in high school, you were in school from 8-something to 3-something. When you get to college, you may only have one class per day, so you got more time to waste. My challenge is just like yours. What do I do with the gaps? And again, you have to be in a place where you disconnect from that particular digital world. Because I did something crazy in February, but it's brought me benefits. I'm a runner, right? I'm a hooper turned runner, right? And y'all any hoopers know we hate running. I became a runner about 12 years ago, right? And I challenged myself in February. I said, okay, let me just try the month of February. I'm gonna run with no music. Y'all are like, damn, how you do that, right? Here's the thing. I haven't put earbuds back in my ear since then. Wherever the head goes, the body follows. Now I do yoga in addition to. Did I answer your question? All right. We got time for maybe 2 more. Go ahead, sir. I adapted. Just like y'all with swag surfing, you adapted? Again, what you read, what you listen to, who you're hanging around. By beholding, you become changed. It does happen. Did I answer your question? Sir.
So this question was partially answered, was answered earlier.
Okay.
My question is, I guess, where do you start? But I mean that in the sense, like, what if there's a lot of things that you want to do?
Absolutely. That's a great question.
And you just really don't know where to put your time and your energy on top of the daily responsibilities that you already have.
Okay. What's that thing that you want to nail down first?
Well, I'm really passionate about chess. I want to be a professional chess player.
Love it.
It's something I want to do.
Love it.
But at the same time, I want to bring a nonprofit chess organization to where I'm from, to Baltimore. But I don't know. I don't know if I should stick with psychology because there's some benefits to being in the psychological field in chess because chess is psychology, or should I go into social work and try to go? Like I'm having this constant battle with myself. Like I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. And then on top of that, I want to have my own real estate business. So I'm trying to do a lot of things that I don't know where to put my energy. So I'm struggling.
It's all good. I always tell my players, play the game in front of you. What's the game that's in front of you right now that you can do something about?
School.
Okay. I'm not saying give up chess. I'm not saying that because chess actually helps, if you don't play chess, you need to start. It helps critical thinking, right? And a lot of y'all don't understand some of the math that we took in high school and in college. When you get to the real world, to real life, trust me, that critical thought is going to help everything you do. Like literally, it changes the way you prepare to travel. It changes the way that you choose a mate.
Say it again, please.
Critical thinking helps the way you choose a mate, right? Let's just be honest, fellas and ladies and fellas. Who you choose as your mate is a sign of your intelligence. Who you choose as your mate is a sign of your intelligence. Okay? But to answer your question, man, I think I'll give both of y'all. Okay. Here's the thing. For you, control what you can control. Right now, you're doing psychology, right? Major in that. You can play chess every day. Play that. Till you finish, again. Money is you hear what I said? Money is the last thing that comes. Control you control now. You control your chess game, you control what you're studying. Get the degree, make the next decision. Does that make sense? All right. Yes, sir.
I have come to learn in my 32 years on this earth, which isn't very long.
32, you ain't nothing but 9 years older than me, man. That's all right.
That there is a difference between your gift, which is not for you.
Yep.
That's for everyone else.
Yep.
And your passion. And I've come into this big struggle. Like I recognize that my gift is in mentoring, encouraging young men, making people feel good about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very passionate about movies. And I'm trying to figure out, my best friend told me you don't need to bridge the two together. Because your gift is something that you will naturally work on without thinking about. Whereas the passion, that's what you have to really breathe, practice into.
You got to practice. You have to practice. I agree and I disagree. You got to practice your gift too.
Okay.
Maybe that practice doesn't seem as hard, right? Because you're a mentor naturally, right? Now that you're not a filmmaker, storyteller.
Decided yet.
Okay, in that realm, why not do or make films based on your gift? Why not? Why not? Why not? I mean, catch people in your element, and now y'all know these iPhone 11s. Who was that? Selena Gomez shot her last video on a daggone iPhone 11. Somebody did. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir. My man.
What do you do when you put a high pedestal and you're afraid of falling short of like the expectations?
He said, what do you do when you're put on a high pedestal and you quote unquote don't meet the expectations? Whose expectations? Your parents. Great question. What we do from the time we're little to the time that we're 23, like me, we do it for the love. We do it for the approval of our parents. Hear me out. We do it for the approval of our parents and maybe some for the approval of, our friends or our neighbors or the people we go to church with or your boo or whoever, right? We do that naturally because that's a basic human need, which is acceptance, right? However, my mom told me a long time ago, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy, right? That's what my mother told me, right? But I took it a step further, right? If you're not meeting expectations of other people, What expectations do you have for yourself? Because again, a C doesn't tell me anything. That's a measurement. A C is a measurement. It doesn't tell me what your gift is. Trust me, y'all, I've seen it. I've worked at some of the best institutions, quote unquote, in the country. And I've had 3.75 GPA students come in and they suck in interviews because they can't tell me why they're the best person for the job. But I've got kids who have 2.5s that blow these kids out the water. But by the numbers and the measurement, they say, oh, this person is smart. Yeah, they might be book smart. But can they do what they say they can do? I literally had a sister with a master's degree. I'm answering your question. She sat in an interview and my coworker asked her, because she was bombing the interview. Why do you think we should hire you? She says, because I'm amazing. Ladies and elders, I'm sorry. I gotta say this because this is how I felt. Have y'all seen Boys in the Hood? Yes. There was a part in there where Ice Cube told Regina Hall, you better take your ass to the store with that. And honestly, that's how I felt. But to get back to your question, the expectation that other people have for you, somehow, some way, you've got to have a conversation with your parents. And you got to let them know, and this is for everybody, you got to let them know that regardless of what they may have sacrificed and what they may actually be paying for you to go to school, it is your blood, sweat, and tears on the degree. It is you going to stuff that you don't want to go to. It is study groups that you have to be in. No disrespect, mom and dad, but I got to be happy. Because two things you don't want to be in this life are unhappily married and unhappily employed. So your expectation has to be, I want to enjoy what I do and be paid handsomely for it. I know I'm running out of time. I'm sorry. Okay. Yep. One more? Can we do one more? No. One more? Sir.
So basically, it's a two-part question.
Okay.
So how do you protect your thoughts and maintain a healthy mental diet? And what is it that, what great works have you read that have changed your life?
Whew. Okay, that's like a three-part question. The first part was what? No, first part was what?
Like, how do you protect your thoughts and maintain a healthy diet?
How do you protect your thoughts? In this digital world, man, I mean, there's a lot of self-discipline you have to have in terms of what's out there. I think it was Denzel that says, if you pay attention to the news, if you don't read the news, you're uninformed. If you read the news, you're misinformed, right? And so I think you choose every day what your diet consists of. And I'm even including the conversations that you have and the energy that you are around. Because sometimes people just think, well, it's just people that are speaking negatively. No, let's just be honest. There are some people that are so negative when they walk into the room turns dark. Y'all will catch that at the red light. They're so negative that when they walk into rooms, the room's just darken. Okay? But in terms of books, like what types of books? I've read a lot of books. Like leadership, self-development.
Yeah, just something that you learned that changed your life and most impactful.
The most impactful?
If you could say like 2 or 3. I know that it wouldn't be like
I'll tell you, of course, everybody talks about the autobiography by Malcolm X, but Sidney Poitier, Measure of a Man, one of the best books I've read. It's a biography, but he's a master, he's a wordsmith. I love his work. The 5 a.m. Club is a good one for those of you all who aren't early risers. The Leadership Challenge is good. The Alchemist is good. That's always required reading. Souls of Black Folks, I can go on. It just depends on what you want. But we can wrap later. We can wrap off. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for letting me be myself. Have a great one.